Okay, hi everyone. Very good morning. We'll see the networking part for Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud today. Okay, so to start with, what is the network? Okay, network, it's a logical boundary for devices to connect and communicate. Okay, so in this network, it's a very basic element of IaaS part in cloud. Why I'm stressing this out? Because PaaS and SaaS, it is managed by the cloud providers itself. We will not be able to see what is been configured in the backend. But then we will be able to sometimes configure the PaaS elements also by integrating it to the IaaS networks. Okay, we'll see all those things later. But start with networking is a logical boundary. Okay, and we will see how we're gonna look at the things. So when we are talking about the networks, so we have Azure Network, okay, and we have AWS Network, and we have Google Cloud Network, okay. So when we are looking at these things, first and foremost thing, with the Azure Cloud, we don't get any default VNets, okay. So when we are trying to create any resources, for example, best example is virtual machine. When you are trying to create, it will try to give you option to make sure that you have that particular option for us, okay. But AWS has the default gateway, whichever we can see here, okay. And the Google Cloud also has the default part whenever you are creating an account. So to do so, you should be having a specific particular account, and it's a free account for AWS, Google Cloud, and virtual, for Azure also. There are some plans. We'll discuss about that later part. Okay, how to create it, but we'll just see how to create a virtual machine today. Okay, so first we will see the Azure virtual networks. Okay, you just have to search VNet or a virtual network. You will get a particular virtual networks here, okay, in which you have to create a virtual network here, in which we have basic security, IP address tags, and the other things. Okay, this is very important. You have to select a specific Azure network, whatever you wanted to deploy, and then resource group also. So we will talk about the resource groups later towards. Resource group is kind of a folder here in the Azure, where you try to keep those resources related to a specific application or specific what is intended to create it. Okay, so it's kind of a folder. So here we're going to select the subscription, we're going to select the resource group, and we will select a particular VNet name. Okay, I will just name it as test VNet, and I will select the region as a central India. Okay, so there are multiple security options which we can select. Specifically, you can encrypt the particular virtual network, and since it is not for us, I mean for the test environment, it is not required, but this is very important when you are trying to use the banking sector, when you are trying to use the pharma sector or something like that. You need an encrypted communications to happen, then you can enable this particular option. Okay, Azure Bastion is like it's an application where you try to specifically use the server accessible over the browser. Okay, so basically once you enable the Bastion, once you create a Bastion inside the network, you will be able to take the RDP or SSH over the browser. That's why the Bastion has been created for. So right now we are not trying to see that. So if you are having a plan to create it, so whenever you are trying to create a VNet, this is very, very important for us to understand what kind of a network we are trying to create, for what reason we are trying to create. Okay, so we will see how VNet can be planned, how subnet can be planned in few minutes. But we will be seeing at the networking part how to just to create a particular network here. Then we'll go to the subnet planning. Okay, so also it's a firewall, Azure firewall. It's a native firewall which is available there. So you can, if you have a plan to implement Azure firewall, you can just click on, it'll try to enable the Azure file for you. Also the DDoS attacks protection. So this VNet can be enabled with the DDoS protection. It's again a native particular tool that has been protected this Azure networks. Okay, So these options are there in the security. You just have to click. Right now we are not selecting anything, and now we come to a specific window where you will be able to create subnets. Okay, so right now we'll go with the default subnet, and we will try to see the subnet part later. Okay, so I would like to go with this particular range. If your intention to use this network for a very small range, for example only few IP addresses are required and we don't require much more than that, so then you can select a very small subnets and then you can go for it. Okay, and if you're trying to see a specific very small subnets, then you will be able to get those subnets also. So here, if your subnet is larger than your VNet allocated address, then it will show you an error. Okay, so you have to make sure your network is larger than your subnet. It's a default one. So, and you will be able to see the error if you're gonna select that. So we'll go with 16.1 here. Okay, next, tags, it's an optional, you know that, and we'll say create it. Okay, so it'll give you a specific particular detailings here, and you will be able to see if you want to edit anything, you can go back to a specific range, and you will be able to do the necessary changes on that, and then you can go for it. Okay, so if you want to add the subnet, you have to click on add subnet here, which we will be looking at the things later. Okay, so just we'll create a network now, and it gives you a template also. This is very important when you want to replicate same kind of a template, and if you are trying to use the automation tools, you will be able to download this and you will be able to reuse the template for the networkings. Okay, so it went off. I'll just so those are all the options while we are creating a network on Azure. We'll create it. Okay, it will deploy a particular job to complete it. Once it is done, we'll come back. So do we have any questions or discussion points for this particular topic on Azure VNet deployment?
It is region specific, right?
Very good question. Yes. So when we are trying to deploy a specific VNet, okay, it will give you a summary. When we were looking at the summary, I'll just show you one more VNet creation, okay, for a region specific specifications, how to fill it out. If you see this, I have selected the Central India region. If you want to go to any other region, there is a option on the first page itself. Okay, so you will be able to change those specific regions there. And now the Azure has a concept of Azure extended zones also. Okay, so what do you mean by Azure extended zone? A specific extra zone is available very near to the particular customers. For example, if a customer, now you see that the Central India is a main region, okay, but people are in Chennai or in Bangalore or in anywhere else near to this, and they want very less latency application to be deployed. Okay, so in such cases they have something called extended zones. Okay, so if you see this here, it is again depends on the subscription. It is not available for all the subscriptions. Okay, so it is selected to EA subscriptions and some other selected subscription types. Okay, so they can choose this extended zones, and they can select that particular VNet to have a very less latency to be deployed. Okay, so we can change the region here. Even if that specific subscription is having an extended zone available for particular subscription type, you can go ahead and choose it. You just have to change this region here to see whether it is available for your subscription or not, extended particular zone. Okay, Did I answer your question, bro?
Yeah, Manju. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll see whether network has been created or not. So now the network has been created. This is how it looks like after creation. Very important for us here is the address space. Okay, so we will see how to peer the two networks in the future. Also, we will see how this looks like when completely a specific application has been built or any of the resources that are connected to the VNet. Okay, we are just looking at the creation of a VNet, and every other things will fall on to the discussion points on the later videos. Okay, so the next thing here we have the AWS VPC creation. So basically they call the network as VPC on the AWS. Now here it comes up with the default VPC, okay, where you can directly go ahead and put your devices or build your devices into a specific default VNet for the testing purposes. But it is intended to not to use the default one until unless you have a clear picture of the usage. Okay, it is very important thing. The default virtual VPC, it is open to the internet also. They have an internet gateway which is attached to the default one. Okay, I'll explain everything right now. Let's create a specific VPC. Okay, now here we'll try to search your VPC. Okay, when we are here, we will be able to hit this particular window, and here the regions you have to change here. Okay, so if you want to go with the Mumbai, you have to select the Mumbai from the drop down. Okay, and it will show you how many VPCs are there, like how many subnets are there. Once the region is selected here, you have to create a VPC. See, now this is the beauty part of AWS. Okay, now it has only VPC or VPC with the other plans. Okay, now right now I've selected with the VPC and more. Okay, what it meant to be here, we have an VPC. With the VPC they have subnets. Okay, with the subnets they have a specific route tables, and they have internet connectivity or a private. Okay, now if you see here, there are public and private subnets. What is here for us, it meant to be public subnets can connect with the internet with the internet gateway. When it is a private subnet, it cannot connect with the internet. So if you have a plan to connect to internet, you should be having a subnet of public one, and also it should be connected with the internet gateway. Okay, if you don't have any intention to connect with internet, then you have to go with the private subnet. So since we are looking at only the VPC part, I'll select the VPC one, and then I'll try to give any name for it. Okay, so even there are naming conventions to provide for all the cloud platforms. We'll discuss that later. Now here, if you have a IPAM which is already placed in your environment, you can directly go with the IPAM tool, and then it will try to give you a net mask and all the other details automatically fulfilled. Also, this is helpful when you have a IPAM. You can even make sure that the networks are not conflicted, and also the ranges can be auto-populated. Okay, that advantage we have with the IPAM, and since we do not have IPAM, we can go with the IPv4 CADR range. Okay, so now I would like to go with again the range of 16, and here I have only IPv6. If you want to go with IPv4 only, if you want to go with the IPv6, you have to have a CIDR owned by you. Okay, so then only we'll be able to provide that. Okay, or else Amazon also will provide that IPv6 CIDR. You can go ahead and create one. Okay, so it depends on your particular intention to create a particular VPC. Okay. Now I would like to go with IPv4 with the default tenancy, and I will create this. Here, once I create it, there will be a VPC which is available. Okay, and what is the CIDR? What is the flow? We can see how many subnets are available. This is very important for us to understand why there are 3 subnets. Okay, so these 3 subnets here, it is for the availability zones. Okay, in the ideal case or on the on-premises one, the network idea or a subnet ideology was to give a specific different subnets for the different category. For example, virtual machine was on the on-premises virtual network, and the subnet was the different one, and then the DB subnets were different, and any other connectivity devices or the data center connectivity subnets were different. Okay, and then they used to communicate. So here on the cloud, the subnet, especially on the AWS, the subnets are here divided into the regions. Okay, now if you plan a virtual machine deployment into a subnet 1, and you have a DB which is supposed to support that particular application which is running on the virtual machine, that should also go on the subnet 1. Okay, so region wise subnets will be there to reduce the latency. Make sure you deploy your dependent resources over the specific subnets which you have selected. So that point is very important for us. Okay, else there will be a latency. So this is also one point. Okay, and these are all about the subnets, and they have default route tables and internet gateway and also the other things. Okay, so now if we are looking at private and public subnets, we can create specific subnets. We will come to a creation of a subnet in a few minutes. Okay, let's see. Before going to the Google Cloud, do we have any questions to create a virtual network onto AWS?
No.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the Google Cloud. So now here we have a particular account which is created. Okay, this is also free, and then you can create a specific VPC. Here the network's called as a VPC. It is a same name as AWS. Okay, so you just have to search for, you have to create an Google Cloud account, and then you have to search for a VPC networks. That will also come with the default network. Okay, and it has a specific detailings and also the route tables and the routes. This is very different. So when we are looking at the Google Cloud, right, so it has a maximum details of whatever it is required. Okay, our planning of the network is very important here, and also while creating, there are a few things we need to make sure which should be kept very intended. What it meant is, I have created, okay, so I have come to the VPC networks. Okay, now I clicked on the create VPC network, and I have given a name. Okay, now we have MTU here. It depends on your application what kind of MTU should be supported. You select it, and then there are 2 methods of creation, okay, of the subnets. One is automatic, another one is custom. In the custom, we'll create our subnets. Okay, in the automatic, it creates a subnet on each region. Okay, so right now we don't want to do this. We would like to go with the custom one. Okay, in the custom one, private IPv6 addresses are there. Okay, and also IPv4 addresses are there. If you want to go ahead with the IPv6, then you have to click on this. Now I don't want to go with IPv6. I would like to go with this creation of the subnet right now. I have already created a I have filled the details. I have not created the network yet. It is a I would like to go with a subnet of a VM subnet. SNet is a short form of subnet. Okay, so my name for this subnet would be VM subnet, and we have to select the region here. Okay, this is the difference. So when we were creating the network on Azure, we were supposed to create, like how we were supposed to select the region there, it is equal to the GCP console here. But on the particular AWS, the difference was we were supposed to change the region from the top here itself. Okay, so that's why. And here, once we select the region, again it will give you option called single stack or dual stack. Basically, dual stack in the sense it has IPv6 and IPv4. I don't want IPv6 right now. I'd like to go with IPv4 and range. Okay, this subnet range, you have already given the range for your network there, and you would like to go ahead with the subnet ranges here. Okay, now there is an option right now to create a private Google accessibility. So what it meant to be here, any Google services, this subnet can be accessible without creating any extra or a public IP address, which meant to be any Google services can be accessible to this particular subnet without an internet connectivity. Okay, I'm not going to use it right now. If your services or your virtual needs and Google services, you can enable this. So right now we will just close this, and the flow logs will be collected, and then it will be also checked for the specific reasons. We will also look at the flow logs, how it's going to create. Right now for this testing purpose, it is not required. Okay, and hybrid subnet, this is very important. Hybrid subnets, it is connectivity to the on-premises. Okay, now I don't want to connect with the on-premises, but if any Google Cloud network needs to be connected with the on-premises, you just have to click on. Okay, so that will create a specific connectivity in the backend, and also there will be extra configuration, that's for sure, that will be considered here to be setting up. Now we would like to go with no hybrid connectivity, simple subnet, and then I will say done. Okay, once everything is done, here we have firewall rules. Okay, ingress, so whatever the particular traffic which is flowing in, so these are all the default rules that are allowing the connection towards this particular network. Okay, if you want to change anything, you can just click and edit it. Basically you can even deny it. So right now we will create, and then we will see how we can play around with these rules, how to specifically when it is a DB connecting with it, how to add any other rules, how to delete the existing rules, how to modify it. We'll see it. Okay, the next thing is specifically advanced dynamic routing. When VPC is need to be connected with the dynamic routing. For example, if there are a set of particular users which are being part of a different regions of the part of the region, different part. For example, in India and also in US, there is a website that is being accessed, right? So how to use the dynamic routing to proceed further. So all those things are there. Right now we'll keep it the dynamic routing for the regional level, not for the global level. So if the website which is hosted inside this particular virtual network, so then you will be able to connect with the global, and then you can make it routable also. Okay, and then if you have a path selection, there is a legacy path and there is a standardized. So standardized, it's like wherever you are going to get that particular legacy, in the sense it's a default route where the packets are traveling. Standardized in the sense they're what do we say, optimized level of pathing. Okay, we will see that also in the future. Okay, that is the selection. I'll go with the legacy, and the DNS configuration. If you want a DNS, you can opt for the DNS also here. Okay, we can create a DNS, and we can opt for the DNS. That we will see also how to engage the DNS with the current VPC there. Okay, I will create this particular thing. So here all fields, I'm just missing this particular thing, new subnet. Okay, yeah, there was a new subnet. Create, and this is creating a network. If you'd like to go with the command line also, there were few things which were able to do it. So there were few commands which we can fetch it, but the test one is being created. Now we have covered how to create a network in Google Cloud also. So do you have any questions?
No. Till now it is good.
Okay, perfect. So since we have seen creating a virtual networks, now coming to the sub part of the network is a subnet. Okay, how do we create a subnet? What it means for the network, and how to create it. What are the tools we have to help us to create those subnets? That we will see right now. Okay. So the first tool which we have here is Visual Subnet Calculator. This is dedicated for the Azure. Okay, I have already created one more video which is already available on the YouTube for your reference. For the future, you can just look at it. But to cover very fast, here this subnet editor which we have, this is very helpful. Okay, when it is a specifically production environment for your client, okay, and they want to connect with the on-premises, they want to connect with the internet, and they want to use the PaaS resources, and they want to utilize a lot many services which are available. Okay, in such cases you can use this particular tool. This is very helpful for us to create it. Okay, now hope you're able to see the options, or is it very small?
Yeah, we are able to see. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So here I have an whole network of /16, and I would like to go with the gateway subnet. So these gateway subnets are very important for the express route or site-to-site connectivity. Okay, gateway in the sense, from that particular device the data packets will flow through the network. Okay, so that size and the recommendation also, this tool has been provided. Okay, now you can edit the net masks, range of address, all those things you have. Okay, now I would like to first go with the 27 one. Okay, now the very important point here is, see, you see this 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, right? So if a gateway subnet is there, you just have to divide this. To calculate this one only, we were supposed to do the manual calculations, before such tools. It was very headache and hectic for us. Also, this tool will explain what is your net mask, what is your range, what is your usable IP addresses. If you see the Azure network, first 4 IP addresses and last IP addresses dedicated for their specific reasons. Okay, so the usable IPs range from, though the network start from 10.0.0.0, the usable IP start from 0.0.4. Okay, so this this tool, it's very helpful for us to plan these things. Okay, and you don't want to go with 26 like 27, you would like to go with 26. Now you can select this, and also you can merge those things like whenever it is not needed. Okay, likewise you can select particular subnet ranges, and there are many more things which is being explained here. On the subnet wise, we don't want to explore more, but this one tool is very helpful for us. But the only request is, don't give the client based information, because it's a third party tool. It might be very safe also, but we don't usually give the names of the customer or something like that. Okay, so this is about the Azure calculator. Okay, so do you have any questions on this? Okay, perfect. So the next thing is, likewise we can use the same same kind of a tool for the AWS. Also we can use this for many subnet calculations. And we should have all these in mind while we are creating it, whether this is connecting with on premises, whether it is using the express route, whether it is using bastion, whether it is using the postgre flexible servers. All those things depends on that subnets will be created and calculated. Okay, so likewise this is the same thing which you can use this for the AWS. Okay, and the last tool which I have here is this MX toolbox. This is also one of the very useful particular calculator. It was the one thing which I used to use way before, and you can just calculate all those things with the subnets here. Okay, so that will give you input, and then it will give you a range of all those things. So this is the tool. And subnet wise, once we decide how we're going to go with it, we have to create the subnet as such. Okay, now if you see here, go to the network, go to the subnets, and here create a subnet. Okay, in create a subnet you can just change your particular name. Yes, net2, and then you can just provide the IP address space where your particular range, what range you would like to go with it. Okay, and then there are particular endpoints also which you can private subnets, and also the endpoints also you can enable it. We will see that what is the endpoint, how to use it. Right now, to create a subnet, whether you are trying to use it for a NAT gateway, or whether you are trying to use this security group or something like that, or route table, if you are trying to use those things, you have to select those things. Okay, it has to be available. Route table, security group, and the NAT gateway should be available already into the network to create these subnets. So likewise, it is the same thing with this thing also. So if you want to create a subnet, there is a button called create subnet. You have to go select that particular subnet, the VPC, and now you give your name and also zone. Okay, as I have told you, there are 3 zones available, 1, 2, 3 availability zones. You select whatever you want, and then you give a particular side a range of whatever the subnet you want. Okay, it should not be overlapping with your other one. I'll go with 0.0.0/24. Okay, and give those names and all. Create a subnet. Okay, sorry. Okay, and it will be created. The extra subnet will be created for this. Okay, so likewise we can create that on the Google Cloud also. Come to the VPC, click on the subnet, and add the subnet. So here it's a very important thing for us that we have to see what kind of a purpose, why you are creating a subnet. How Azure has given an option, the Google Cloud also will give you a particular option, whether it is a cross regional proxy, or regional managed proxy, or private NAT if you are trying to create, and remaining things are same other options. Okay, you just have to select the region and create it. That's how it will be created. So do you have any questions?
No, as of now, nothing.
Perfect. Okay. So those are the things which we would like to discuss today, and maybe to the next week we will be able to explore more. Okay, why on the IP addressing part, and how we would like to go ahead with the specific once the network is planned, how the IP addresses will be there, how the public IP addresses will work, how the private IP addresses will work. Such things will be discussed in the next sessions, team. So I'll stop this.